From screenwriters hiding their identities to actors literally getting sick watching their own scenes, the making of this cult sci-fi thriller was stranger than fiction itself. Bizarre casting accidents, hidden body count Easter eggs, unexpected Twin Peaks connections, and prop mishaps that haunted actors for years. The production secrets behind this alien possession flick are as wild as the film itself. Here are 15 weird facts you didn't know about The Hidden. Fact 1. The screenwriter used a fake name to disown his own movie. Jim Koff poured his creative energy into writing The Hidden, a script about a body-hopping alien terrorizing Los Angeles. He had big plans to direct the film himself, envisioning exactly how he wanted to bring his wild sci-fi thriller to life on screen. But when he shopped the screenplay around Hollywood for years, he kept running into the same problem. Studios kept rejecting the project. Eventually, New Line Cinema agreed to produce the film, but there was one major catch. They refused to let Koff direct it himself. The reason was simple and brutal. Koff had made his directorial debut in 1984 with a comedy called Miracles, starring Tom Conti, Terry Garr, and Christopher Lloyd. The film bombed spectacularly at the box office and was poorly received by critics. New Line executives remembered that failure and decided they couldn't risk giving Koff another shot in the director's chair, even though they loved his hidden screenplay. Koff was so disappointed and frustrated by this decision that he wanted nothing to do with the production. He washed his hands of the whole thing and decided to distance himself from any changes or rewrites that might happen during filming. To make that separation official, he chose to be credited under the pseudonym Bob Hunt, instead of using his real name. It was his way of saying he didn't want responsibility for whatever the final product became without his directorial vision guiding it. Ironically, The Hidden turned out to be a cult classic that's still celebrated today. Director Jack Sholder did an excellent job bringing the story to life, and the film became one of the highlights of both their careers. Years later, Koff openly admits his involvement and even seems proud of the movie, proving that sometimes losing creative control can lead to something even better than originally imagined. Fact 2. Kyle MacLachlan's FBI agent was his Twin Peaks rehearsal. When Kyle MacLachlan signed on to play FBI Special Agent Lloyd Gallagher in The Hidden, he had no idea he was essentially rehearsing for the role that would define his entire career. The film came out in 1987, 3 full years before Twin Peaks premiered on television in 1990. But looking back, the similarities between Agent Gallagher and the iconic Agent Dale Cooper are absolutely uncanny. Both characters are FBI agents who travel from another location to investigate bizarre crimes that involve supernatural elements beyond normal human understanding. Both men use unconventional investigative methods that local law enforcement initially greets with skepticism and confusion. Most strikingly, both agents share the same calm, deliberate mannerisms and speak in concise, matter-of-fact sentences that suggest they know far more than they're willing to reveal. MacLachlan brought the same quiet intensity and mysterious air to both roles, playing men who always seem slightly out of step with the world around them. Even the plot elements overlap in fascinating ways. In The Hidden, the villain is a parasitic alien entity that jumps from body to body, possessing and controlling innocent people. In Twin Peaks, the malevolent entity known as Bob similarly possesses individuals and uses their bodies for evil purposes. Both stories feature scenes where possessed characters look in mirrors to check if their host is still intact. MacLachlan himself has acknowledged the connection between these two roles. In interviews, he's mentioned that playing Agent Gallagher helped him understand how to portray otherworldly characters who are trying to navigate human society while pursuing dangerous supernatural threats. Director Jack Sholder had no involvement with Twin Peaks, but he inadvertently gave David Lynch the perfect actor who already knew exactly how to play a quirky FBI agent investigating the impossible. Fact 3. The 2 lead actors made a pact during auditions. Casting. The Hidden turned out to be an unexpectedly difficult challenge for the filmmakers. They held extensive auditions trying to find the perfect pair of actors who could pull off the buddy cop dynamic at the heart of the story. The script required two very different personalities, a grounded, skeptical detective and a mysterious, otherworldly FBI agent who could still generate genuine chemistry together on screen. Kyle MacLachlan came in to audition for the role of Agent Lloyd Gallagher after his work with David Lynch in Dune and Blue Velvet had established him as a talented actor with an unusual screen presence. Michael Nouri, already known for his role in Flashdance, auditioned for Detective Tom Beck. Both men read the screenplay before their auditions and were immediately impressed by the quality of the writing. The script cleverly blended science fiction, action, and buddy cop humor in a way that felt fresh and exciting. Here's where things get interesting. Without knowing what the other was thinking, both MacLachlan and Nouri separately told the casting directors the exact same thing during their audition process. Each actor said they would only agree to do the film if the other guy got cast in the remaining role. MacLachlan wanted Nouri as his partner, and Nouri wanted MacLachlan as his partner. It was an unusual situation where both leads independently decided they needed each other to make the movie work. This mutual respect and instant recognition of their potential chemistry proved to be exactly right. Their on-screen partnership became one of the film's greatest strengths, with MacLachlan's reserved, enigmatic performance playing perfectly against Nouri's frustrated, everyman detective. The authentic buddy cop dynamic they created came from that initial gut feeling both actors had during auditions. They genuinely believed they could create something special together. Fact 4. They couldn't cast the lead role until days before shooting. Even after Kyle MacLachlan and Michael Nouri agreed to star in The Hidden together, the production faced a serious timing crisis that nearly derailed everything. Despite holding extensive auditions and searching for months, the filmmakers simply could not finalize the casting of Agent Lloyd Gallagher until just a few days before cameras were scheduled to start rolling. This created an incredibly stressful situation for everyone involved, but especially for MacLachlan himself. Most actors prepare for major roles over a period of weeks or even months. They read and reread the script, think deeply about their characters' motivations and backstory, work with the director on developing the right tone and mannerisms, and maybe even do physical preparation if the role requires it. MacLachlan had almost none of that luxury. The moment he officially signed his contract, he was basically thrown onto set with minimal preparation time. The role of Agent Gallagher was particularly challenging because the character needed to seem slightly off, not quite human, while still remaining sympathetic and believable. MacLachlan had to figure out how to walk, talk, and move in a way that suggested an alien consciousness inhabiting a human body without making it too obvious or cartoonish. He needed to create subtle physical quirks and speech patterns that would hint at the character's true nature before the big reveal later in the film. Director Jack Shoulder later called MacLachlan's casting an inspired choice and praised his performance extensively. What makes this even more impressive is that MacLachlan pulled off such a nuanced, carefully calibrated performance with almost no rehearsal time. He had to trust his instincts, make quick decisions about his character, and hope everything would come together once filming started. The fact that his performance is still celebrated today proves that sometimes pressure creates diamonds. Fact 5. Michael Nouri turned down Lethal Weapon for this movie. 1987 was a pivotal year for action cinema, and Michael Nouri found himself at a crossroads that would define the trajectory of his entire career. He had two major offers on the table simultaneously, and he could only choose one. The first was the role of Detective Tom Beck in The Hidden, a modestly budgeted science fiction thriller from New Line Cinema. The second was the role of Martin Riggs in a big-budget action movie from Warner Brothers called Lethal Weapon. Most actors would have jumped at the Lethal Weapon opportunity without hesitation. It was a major studio production with a larger budget, better marketing, and more mainstream appeal. But Nouri carefully read both scripts and made a decision based purely on which story excited him more. He was genuinely fascinated by The Hidden's unique blend of science fiction and police procedural, and he loved the idea of playing a family man detective who gets pulled into an investigation involving body-hopping aliens. The script felt original and different from typical action fare. So, Nuri turned down Lethal Weapon, and the role of Martin Riggs went to Mel Gibson instead. That decision changed everything. Lethal Weapon became a massive blockbuster hit, earning over $120 million worldwide and spawning 3 sequels that turned into one of the most successful action franchises of the 80s and 90s. Mel Gibson became an even bigger superstar, and everyone associated with those films enjoyed tremendous mainstream success. Meanwhile, The Hidden earned only about $10 million domestically and quickly faded from theaters, though it later found a devoted cult following on home video. Nuri's career continued steadily with numerous television and film roles, but he never achieved the same level of mainstream stardom that might have come from headlining a major franchise like Lethal Weapon. Fact 6. The director and lead actor clashed throughout production. Behind the scenes of The Hidden, the atmosphere during filming was far more tense than audiences ever would have guessed from watching the finished product. Director Jack Sholder and lead actor Michael Nuri struggled to work together throughout the entire production, creating an awkward dynamic that required careful management to keep the movie on track. Years after the film's release, Sholder spoke candidly in interviews about his difficult working relationship with Nuri. The director described the actor as being diametrically opposed to everything he asked him to do, meaning that almost every directorial note or suggested adjustment met with resistance or disagreement. This created a frustrating situation where Sholder had to constantly negotiate and explain his vision rather than simply collaborating smoothly with his lead actor. The specific nature of their disagreements was never fully detailed publicly, but it likely involved differences in how they each envisioned the character of Detective Tom Beck. Nuri may have wanted to play the role with more intensity or seriousness, while Sholder wanted a lighter, more everyman quality. Or perhaps they clashed over pacing, line delivery, or how much humor versus drama the detective scenes should contain. Whatever the root cause, the tension was real and ongoing. Ironically, this behind-the-scenes friction doesn't show up at all in Nuri's performance, which is engaging and naturalistic throughout the film. He brings exactly the right energy to the role, playing a frustrated, family man detective who can't quite believe the insane situation he's been thrown into. The buddy cop chemistry between Nuri and Kyle MacLachlan works beautifully on screen. Sholder, in contrast, had nothing but praise for MacLachlan, calling his casting an inspired choice and complimenting his professionalism throughout the shoot. The director's positive experience with one lead actor and negative experience with the other created an unbalanced production environment that somehow still resulted in a successful cult classic. Fact 7. An actor got so sick watching his own scene. He left the screening. Special effects makeup artist Kevin Yeager created the alien parasite creature that appears throughout The Hidden, and his work was disturbingly realistic for a 1987 film with a modest budget. One particular scene required showing in graphic, visceral detail exactly how the alien slug transfers from one human host to another. The filmmakers used a prosthetic dummy head for this sequence, carefully crafting it to look exactly like one of the actors so they could show the slug-like creature forcing its way into the victim's mouth. That actor was William Boyett, a veteran character actor who played Jonathan P. Miller, the hospital patient who becomes the alien's second host. Boyett's character lies comatose in a hospital bed when the dying first host suddenly wakes up, approaches him, and forces his mouth open. The alien slug then emerges from the first host's mouth and crawls inside Miller's mouth, burrowing deep inside to take control of his body. It's a genuinely unsettling moment that combines body horror with science fiction. The effects team built an incredibly detailed prosthetic replica of Boyett's head for the close-up shots. They could manipulate the mouth and throat to show the alien creature entering, and they filled it with all kinds of organic-looking goo and slime to make the transfer look as wet and disgusting as possible. Stop-motion photography was used to capture the slug's movements, making it appear alive and purposeful. When the film was finished and the cast gathered for a screening, Boyett sat down to watch himself perform. Everything went fine until this particular scene came up on screen. Seeing his own likeness in such grotesque detail, with an alien slug forcing its way past his lips and down his throat, was simply too much for him to handle. The visceral nature of the practical effects and the unsettling intimacy of watching his own face violated in such a graphic way made him physically ill. He couldn't sit through it and had to leave the screening room entirely. Fact 8. The producers told Claudia Christian her breasts were inadequate. Claudia Christian landed the memorable role of Brenda Lee Van Buren, the stripper whose body gets taken over by the alien parasite midway through The Hidden. It should have been an exciting opportunity for the young actress, but the experience began with an incredibly uncomfortable conversation with the film's producers about her physical appearance. Christian later spoke openly in interviews about what happened during the costume design phase of production. The producers looked at her body and made a decision that they felt comfortable sharing directly with her. They told Christian that they found her breasts visually inadequate for the role of a stripper. This kind of blunt, objectifying commentary was unfortunately common in Hollywood at the time, but that doesn't make it any less bizarre or inappropriate by modern standards. Rather than recasting the role or accepting Christian as she was, the producers and costume designers came up with an alternative solution. They specifically designed all of Brenda's costumes to emphasize and showcase Christian's buttocks instead of her chest. The wardrobe choices deliberately drew attention to her rear end with tight-fitting clothes and strategic camera angles that highlighted that part of her anatomy. Christian handled this uncomfortable situation with remarkable professionalism and went on to deliver an iconic performance in the role. Her brief time on screen is genuinely memorable, bringing energy and intensity to the possessed stripper who goes on a violent rampage. She manages to be simultaneously seductive, terrifying, and darkly funny in the part. The experience clearly stuck with Christian since she continued to tell this story years later in interviews. It became one of her go-to anecdotes about the realities of working as an actress in 80s Hollywood. Despite the awkward beginning, Christian went on to have a successful career, becoming best known for playing Commander Susan Ivanova in the science fiction series Babylon 5, a role where her talent and acting ability mattered far more than her physical measurements. Fact 9. A prop gun injury haunted Christian for years on Babylon 5. Claudia Christian's uncomfortable experiences on The Hidden didn't end with the costume department. During production, she suffered a serious injury that would affect her physically and psychologically for years to come, following her all the way to her most famous role on the science fiction series Babylon 5. The injury happened during one of the film's many action sequences. Christian's character Brenda, possessed by the alien parasite, engages in a rooftop shootout with the police. For these scenes, the production used prop guns that were designed to create realistic muzzle flashes and simulate the recoil of real weapons firing. These props worked by having small explosive charges that would create the visual effect of gunfire. Something went wrong during filming. When Christian fired one of these prop weapons, material exploded outward from the gun with more force than expected. Fragments or debris struck her directly in the eye, scratching her cornea. A corneal abrasion is an extremely painful injury that can cause tearing, light sensitivity, and the feeling that something is stuck in your eye. Even after it heals, the psychological trauma of the experience can linger. The injury healed eventually, but Christian developed a lasting fear and instinctive protective response to prop guns. Years later, when she was cast as Commander Susan Ivanova on Babylon 5 starting in 1993, the role required her to frequently handle weapons and engage in combat scenes. Every single time she had to fire a prop gun, Christian would instinctively flinch and turn her face away just as she pulled the trigger. This created a technical problem because it looked unnatural on camera. But here's the twist: it didn't actually matter on Babylon 5. Unlike The Hidden, which used practical prop guns with real charges, Babylon 5's weapons didn't actually fire anything at all. All the muzzle flashes and weapon effects were added digitally in post-production, so there was zero danger. Christian knew this intellectually, but her body remembered the injury and reacted protectively anyway. Fact 10. Danny Trejo has exactly one line before getting blown up. Long before Danny Trejo became one of Hollywood's most recognizable character actors and action stars, he was taking any role he could get, no matter how small. His appearance in The Hidden represents one of those early career moments where he was just happy to have a single line of dialogue and a few seconds of screen time. Trejo's path to acting had been unconventional, to say the least. He entered the film industry in 1985 when he visited the set of Runaway Train as a drug counselor helping an actor who was struggling with addiction issues. Someone noticed his intimidating appearance and authentic tough guy presence and offered him an uncredited role in a boxing scene. That serendipitous moment launched his acting career. By 1987, when The Hidden was filming, Trejo was actively seeking small roles in action and exploitation films. His real-life experience as a former convict and his distinctive look, muscular build, intense eyes, and facial features that suggested a hard life, made him perfect for playing prisoners, thugs, and criminals. The Hidden gave him exactly that kind of role. Trejo appears as a prisoner in a jail cell during the chaotic police station shootout sequence. The alien-possessed Lieutenant Masterson storms through the precinct with heavy weapons, causing absolute mayhem. In the middle of this chaos, Trejo's character yells out one single line of dialogue. He shouts, "Hey, hippie, what kind of dude are you?" at the possessed officer. Immediately after delivering this line, Trejo's character gets blown away in the hail of gunfire and explosions. It's a blink and you'll miss it moment, but it's notable for being one of literally hundreds of times that Danny Trejo has died on screen throughout his career. He's been killed in movies more than almost any other actor in Hollywood history, and this was one of the early entries in that long tradition. Today, Trejo is a beloved icon who headlines his own films, but everyone has to start somewhere. Fact 11. Lin Shaye appeared because her brother founded New Line Cinema. Lin Shaye has become a beloved figure in horror cinema, especially for her work in the Insidious franchise, where she plays paranormal investigator Elise Rainier. But long before she became a Scream Queen icon, she was landing small roles in genre films, and her appearance in The Hidden came about through a very direct family connection. Lin's older brother is Robert Shaye, who founded New Line Cinema in 1967. He built the company from the ground up, initially by distributing art films and midnight movies before expanding into production. New Line became known as the house that Freddy built because the massive success of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise allowed the company to grow into a major independent studio. As the founder and head of New Line, Robert Shaye produced The Hidden and had significant control over casting decisions for the production. He gave his sister Lin a small role in the film, continuing a pattern of helping her career whenever possible. This wasn't nepotism for nepotism's sake. Lin was a trained actress with genuine talent, but the family connection certainly helped her get in the door. Lin appears in The Hidden as Carol Miller, playing a brief supporting role. It's not a large part, but it gave her valuable screen time and another credit to add to her resume. More importantly, it strengthened her connection to the horror and science fiction genres that would eventually define her career. In interviews years later, Lin Shaye has spoken openly and gratefully about how her brother helped launch her horror career. She told USA Today in 2015, "I'm forever grateful to my big brother, who really started my horror career." That career began with small parts in New Line productions like The Hidden and A Nightmare on Elm Street, where she played a doomed teacher in one of the franchise's most memorable scenes. Fact 12. The film contains a hidden visual body count tally. The Hidden lives up to its name in more ways than one. Eagle-eyed fans who watched the film multiple times began noticing something strange hidden in plain sight throughout the entire movie. A visual Easter egg system that tracks the body count as the alien parasite racks up victims across Los Angeles. The discovery started when viewers noticed that the film's opening bank robbery and chase sequence takes place on 5th Street, and exactly 5 people died during that sequence. At first, this seemed like a coincidence, But then fans started paying closer attention to other numbers that appeared on screen throughout the film, and a pattern emerged that was far too consistent to be accidental. In one scene, characters ride an elevator, and the floor number that gets selected matches the current death toll at that point in the story. Hospital room numbers correspond to how many people have died by the time those scenes occur. Clock faces showing specific times contain numbers that align with the running body count. Street signs, building numbers, and even subtle details like prices on signs or numbers on vehicles all seem carefully chosen to reflect the cumulative death toll. The filmmakers never officially confirmed this Easter egg system, but the correlations are too frequent and too obvious to dismiss as random chance. Someone involved in the production, whether director Jack Sholder, the cinematographer, or the production designers, deliberately hid this visual counting mechanism throughout the film as a playful secret for observant viewers to discover. This kind of hidden detail adds an extra layer of appreciation for fans who love to rewatch movies and hunt for Easter eggs. It transforms the hidden from a straightforward action thriller into something with additional depth for those willing to pay close attention. The body count tally serves no narrative purpose and doesn't affect the story in any way, but it demonstrates the care and creativity that went into making what could have been just another disposable B-movie into something more thoughtful and crafted. Fact 13. The police station was built inside an actual abandoned jail. The Hidden needed a convincing police station setting for many of its key scenes, including interrogations, the dramatic jail cell confrontation between the two leads, and the climactic shootout, where the possessed lieutenant storms through the precinct with heavy weapons. Rather than building an expensive soundstage set from scratch or renting an actual working police station, the production designers found a perfect location that gave them exactly what they needed with an appropriate dark atmosphere. They built their police station set inside the Lincoln Heights Jail in Los Angeles, a real correctional facility that had sections of unused space available for film production. The location had authentic institutional architecture, concrete walls, barred cells, narrow corridors, and harsh lighting that created exactly the right oppressive mood. The production team constructed their police station interiors within this space, taking advantage of the existing structure while adding their own details and set dressing. Director Jack Sholder discussed this location in a 2000 interview with fellow director Tim Hunter. Sholder explained that the police station seen throughout the film was a set built into raw space at Lincoln Heights Jail, allowing them to create realistic police interiors while benefiting from the genuine institutional feel of a real jail facility. This location has an interesting connection to horror film history. The same Lincoln Heights Jail location was previously used for filming scenes in A Nightmare on Elm Street, the movie that launched New Line Cinema into major success. Specifically, the boiler room sequences in that film were shot at Lincoln Heights, establishing it as a go-to location for New Line productions. Using real institutional locations like abandoned jails, closed hospitals, or defunct government buildings was a common practice for lower-budget genre films in the 80s. These locations provided authentic atmosphere at a fraction of the cost of building elaborate sets, and they often had the added benefit of looking genuinely grimy and lived in rather than artificially constructed. Fact 14. The alien's Ferrari obsession required two different models. The alien parasite in The Hidden doesn't just want to steal any car, it specifically craves high-performance Italian sports cars, particularly Ferraris. This obsession plays a major role in the film's action sequences and required the production to obtain and ultimately destroy multiple luxury vehicles, which is unusual for a modestly budgeted B-movie. The opening chase sequence features a black 1978 Ferrari 308 GTS, the convertible version of Ferrari's popular sports car from that era. This is the same model that Tom Selleck made famous by driving it in the television series Magnum P.I. In The Hidden's explosive opening, the alien-possessed bank robber steals this Ferrari and leads police on a wild chase through Los Angeles streets, running over pedestrians, smashing through obstacles, and causing massive destruction before the car gets riddled with bullets and crashes into a police barricade. Later in the film, after the alien transfers to a new host body, it spots a red 1986 Ferrari Mondial passing by and becomes immediately fixated on stealing it. The Mondial was a less common Ferrari model, a 2+2 coupe and convertible that was more practical for everyday use than Ferrari's pure sports cars. The alien-possessed character murders 3 people at a Ferrari dealership just to steal this particular vehicle. Using 2 different Ferrari models wasn't just about variety in the chase scenes, it reinforced the alien's consistent personality trait across different host bodies. No matter whose body the creature inhabits, it always gravitates toward the same expensive tastes and reckless behavior, stealing Ferraris, blasting rock music, and living out a fantasy of consequence-free hedonism. For a film made for only $5 million, destroying real Ferraris or even high-quality replicas represented a significant portion of the budget allocated to practical effects and stunts. Most low-budget action films would have settled for more affordable sports cars or obvious fiberglass kit cars, but the Hidden's commitment to using actual Ferraris added authenticity and spectacle. Fact 15. Made for $5 million, it nearly doubled its budget at the box office. The Hidden began production in March of 1987 with a tight shooting schedule and a modest budget that required careful planning and efficiency from everyone involved. The film was made for an estimated $5 million, which was considered low budget even by 1980s standards for an action-heavy science fiction film with extensive car chases, shootouts, and special effects. Director Jack Shoulder had only 45 days to complete principal photography, meaning the production had to move quickly through all of its Los Angeles locations without time for extensive reshoots or experimentation. Every day counted, and the crew had to maximize their resources to get all the necessary footage within that compressed time frame. Despite these constraints, Shoulder managed to craft a slick, professional-looking thriller that didn't feel cheap or rushed. New Line Cinema released The Hidden theatrically on October 30th, 1987, the day before Halloween, hoping to capitalize on the holiday weekend audience looking for genre entertainment. The film opened on 1,045 screens across the United States, which was a fairly wide release that showed New Line had confidence in the project. The opening weekend brought in approximately $2.5 million, which was a solid start, but not spectacular. The film remained in the top 10 at the box office for its second weekend before gradually declining in subsequent weeks. By the time it completed its theatrical run, The Hidden had grossed $9.7 million domestically, just shy of doubling its production budget. In Hollywood accounting terms, this represented a modest success rather than a blockbuster hit. The film made money for New Line Cinema and proved that intelligent, well-crafted B-movies could find an audience even in a competitive market.